Reddit stories for the girls.
My wife, 36F, doesn't like me, 38M, going to the gym because I worked hard to make you fat. How can I get her on board with my health journey? My wife is generally very insecure about herself and her body, but recently I made my third attempt to go to the gym on a regular basis, and she's not only unsupportive but actually tries to stop me going. She's bragged to friends that she made me quit last time and can do it again. I finally confronted her about it, and she says she worked hard to make me fat so no other women would be interested in me, and me continuing to go to the gym makes her work all for nothing. I have constant pain from old sports injuries and need to do some rehab because I don't want to be functionally crippled by the time I'm 50, but she will not accept that. Any advice on how I can deal with this?
She's not joking. She's saying that now because she full-on exposed herself and wants to backpedal. You've clearly given it thought. She orders pizza almost every time you hit the gym. She intentionally tries to occupy the time you would go in other ways as well. She is 100% sabotaging your health goals to stroke her own ego. I'm sorry, but leave, fast.
She's toxic. Get rid of her. I'm sorry I'm taking an aggressive POV, but honestly, this is a fundamental building block to any relationship. Mutual support for the other. She doesn't want him to be the best version of himself possible because she's insecure and wants control.
I don't agree with getting in shape and then leaving your wife like some comments suggest, but at the minimum, she has to respect your decision to become fit. It seems that talking about it hasn't worked, so next would be to go regardless of what she says, while watching what and how much you eat.
OP. She will never go with me. She hates exercise and sweating in general.
Then knock the bonbons out of her hand.
Or use them to make her run after you.
Wife sat me down to tell me she had reached out to an ex and was talking to him for several days. Is my boundary too restrictive? Brief background. My wife and I have been struggling with infertility treatment for 2 years now. It has been difficult on both of us mentally and my wife physically. We moved cities for work to keep our healthcare benefits and are both feeling isolated. However, she says she feels more isolated due to her working remotely while I get to go to an office. I don't interact with anyone in the office. My team is spread out globally. 2 weeks ago, she sat me down after work and said she had to tell me something. She proceeded to tell me that she saw an ex-boyfriend she dated in high school on Instagram almost 2 months ago. She decided to reach out to him, and he responded 3 weeks ago. In the week between him responding and her telling me they had talked in detail about their lives since high school. He is also married. He made obvious attempts to rekindle something, and she claims to have shut it down in her words several times. However, she did continue talking to him. She told me this, and I asked to see the messages because I honestly had a hard time accepting it. I read them all, and the conversation was mostly innocent. I did find it worrying that she asked for his phone number and gave him hers. Then a day later, I guess he hadn't texted her because she reached out again on Instagram and said something along the lines of, "Hey, you still haven't texted me, are you dodging me?" I find it worrying that every interaction was initiated by her. I asked her not to continue talking to him and told her that part of the reason I felt bad about the conversation was I felt like the way she was texting him was how she used to text me when we just started dating. I told her I was hurt and felt like she was looking for more than she was actually admitting to. She says that she dodged a bullet with him and talking to him made her appreciate her life more. But my contention is, what if it had gone the other way, that she really enjoyed talking to him? Would it have become something more? I have a hard time believing she wasn't looking for something more than a casual conversation with an ex. She agreed to stop talking to him. That brings us to today, when she was telling me a story about someone else. In the middle of it, she casually mentioned the story was from that same ex, and it was something he had shared with her when they were talking. I told her I didn't want to hear stories from him because that wasn't really a fun interaction for me. She then told me that she knew it was wrong because it made me feel bad, but that I was stifling her ability to talk to other people. I told her I was fine with her talking to literally anyone else but an ex-boyfriend that keeps hitting on her. How do I address this situation with her in a way that doesn't make her feel more isolated? Was my boundary too restrictive?
You know how healthy people solve isolation issues? They phone their family and friends. They go to meetups or hobby classes. They go to the gym or volunteer or church. There are so many ways to make friends. Texting your ex isn't a good way to make a friend, just a way to blow up a marriage. This your wife is or was seeking attention from a former intimate partner. How is that anything but seeking to cheat? It wasn't wrong because it made you feel bad. It was wrong because it was an emotional affair and she was trying to set up a physical affair. This is definitely an emotional affair and divorces have been done because of it. I'm not saying to do an ultimatum, but she needs to know what this is. This infidelity is worse because she is sharing thoughts and feelings with another man who she had a relationship with. She is being selfish. You both need to address this and whatever is the root cause.
I advise you get out of there, brother, without a valid reason and a green light from your current partner. You should never be reaching out to an ex. Leave her, grieve her, and don't allow her to negatively impact your view of all women. Good luck.
My 31F BF 35M wants me to pay half of his mortgage. How to move forward? Hey, Reddit. I'm 31F reaching out for advice on a dilemma with my boyfriend 35M that's been causing some tension between us. We've been together 2.5 years and I moved in with him when my lease ended in July, which coincided with him purchasing his first home. We'd already been together for 2 years at the time, but I didn't have enough money for a down payment and we weren't married yet, so he bought the house on his own versus together. While we had discussed me contributing to the mortgage starting in 2025, I didn't realize he wanted me to pay half since we hadn't specified an amount. I recognize that this miscommunication is partly my fault. One honestly thought I'd be paying a smaller portion given the big difference in our incomes and the fact that my name is not on the house. Before I moved in, he assured me I wouldn't need to contribute to the mortgage until January 2025. We both felt this was fair because he wanted me to have time to save and ensure I'd be okay if anything went wrong between us. And I still had a small bit of debt I was paying down. I've been covering groceries, utilities, and even spent about $4,000 on brand new furniture for our bedroom when we moved in. Recently, the mortgage topic came up again, and that's when he said he expected me to start paying half of the mortgage and utilities starting in the beginning of the year. I was taken aback and expressed my concern about starting to pay half the mortgage since my name isn't on the house and we're not married. To me, paying half doesn't seem fair when I don't have any ownership and would need to leave right away if we were to break up. Instead, he offered to give me half of what I paid for the furniture decay in the event we broke up and I needed to move out. I proposed an even 50-50th split once we're married and my name is also on the house, but he shut that down. He makes about 3 times my income due to working 2 jobs, think away. But TBF, I don't know how long he'll want to keep that up. I then proposed a mortgage split proportional to our income, but he didn't think that was fair either. In his eyes, me covering half of the mortgage and utilities is fair since that is what I was paying for my apartment when I lived alone. I genuinely want to contribute fairly, but I'm also focused on my financial security. I'm worried about coming off as if I'm taking advantage of him, but I don't want to pay for something that feels inequitable. I want to find a solution that feels fair to both of us without creating further tension. I'd really appreciate any insights or suggestions on how to navigate this conversation. Don't pay a penny into the mortgage. Instead, draw up a lease agreement where you pay him rent to live here. 1. It protects you and prevents him from kicking you out in a fit of pique. 2. It maintains your rental history so you can move on if things go south. 3. It protects him. He doesn't need to worry that you'll sweep after a breakup and claim partial ownership of his home, a claim that would be made defensible by a history of checks written for the mortgage. You didn't live with a roommate. The fair value is something like half the market rent. Since you are still splitting the home with another adult, you could go shack up with another man right now in an apartment and pay that. Worst case, just go back to an apartment and call it a failed experiment, because he's demanding that you pay the mortgage on a property you will never own. That is unreasonable on its face, and he knows it. OP update. I tried to talk to him about it a couple hours ago, but he is adamant that me paying half of everything is more than fair since it's equal to what I paid before moving in, not to mention I was also making a bit more before moving in with him. I changed jobs since then. I told him if he agreed, I'll be okay with any of the following options. 1. Pay a proportional amount of rent to him based on our income and half of all utilities. 2. Pay the market value of renting a room in this area and half of all utilities. Or 3. Move back out and get my own place. He got pretty upset and thinks that I'm benefiting off of him by paying less due to him making more money, especially since I'm not paying any rent right now and just paying for all groceries and utilities. Basically, he thinks he's subsidizing me living here and I'm mooching off of him by paying anything less than half. Also said if I think that I should work harder and get a second job, like he has to make more. That one stung, especially since he knows I work hard, and I'm not in a field with as much job security or availability of jobs like his. Long story short, I'm moving out. Looking back, I miss the guy he was before. He had the nice house, the flashy car, and made a lot more money. I feel like that guy used to be so caring and tried to give me the world with what little he had. At the end of the day, I don't want to be with someone that feels like I'm taking advantage of them. And if I'm going to be with someone, I'd want to feel like we're partners and both helping each other out. I don't know how to explain it, but this whole thing has felt so cold and not at all what I'd envisioned with someone I love and care about. I've lived with past partners before, and there has been brief periods where my partner went through unemployment and I paid all the bills. There was never this demand. We loved and cared about each other and faced things together. I don't think I'll ever get that with him, and it breaks my heart. He was someone I truly thought I had a future with. I've decided to move out. We're breaking up. NSFW story in 3, 2. 1. Caught my 26F BF 28M about to self-please to my best friend's story. What would you do? Hi, I'm having so much anxiety and anxiety attacks because of what happened last night. So when I was about to go to bed, my BF really wanted to bonk, but I refused a couple of times and told him I needed to sleep already because I have to get up early. He asked a couple more times and I refused, telling him I'm too sleep deprived, and he agreed to just self-please next to me. So my back was facing him and I heard him go on his Instagram, and for some reason I had this gut-wrenching feeling that something was up. So I couldn't fall asleep and just felt very suspicious, and when I turned to face him, he instantly closed his tab, clearly hiding something, and went to his gallery and said that he was just about to watch our videos to do it, and I was like WF in my head, and I asked him very nicely that what he did was very suspicious and I just want him to show me what he was watching. I asked more than 10 times and was almost crying because I just wanted him to reassure me. And all he did was tell me that he wasn't looking at anything and he was just gonna watch our videos. After lots of convincing and asking him to please show me, and I was telling him if he wasn't hiding anything, then he will just show it to me, and I do the exact same way. Whenever he feels insecure or gets suspicious, I'll instantly give him my ohone to reassure him. And to my forking surprise, I looked back at the tabs he was looking and I saw him rewatching my best friend's story in a bikini with her butt right on the screen. My heart dropped when I saw it, and for some context, he looked up her username and rewatched it, because I know for a fact he already watched her stories before that time, cause I saw it. So I was shocked and instantly bawled my eyes out and couldn't believe it. His parents got involved in our fight and he kept justifying himself that I was gaslighting him, that he didn't do anything wrong, that it's messed up for me to think he would do that, saying that he was just gonna rewatch her story and he clicked it by mistake because he was looking up someone else. But how can you click that by mistake when you literally went and searched for her Instagram? I feel so low and angry. I'm getting so much anxiety attacks because of it. It brought up so much of my trauma.
Nothing like adults being woken up by adults fighting over their daughter's boyfriend self-pleasing. This gives me so much stress, lol.
I am never having kids.
Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on these relationship advice stories? Share in the comments. Please consider subscribing for more Ask Reddit videos to do your makeup too.